Tuesday. The Raiders have informed other teams they would consider trading Davante Adams for a package that would include a second-round draft pick and additional compensation. League sources told Adam Schefter this, and Adam jumping in with us now. What do we know today on the Adams front, Adam?
Well, Laura, there continues to be a belief around the league that it's only a matter of time before Davante Adams is traded to another team. And that time doesn't appear to be happening before Week 5 kicks off because Davante Adams has a lingering, legitimate hamstring injury that he suffered at practice 1 week ago that he's still recovering from. And it doesn't sound like teams are in a rush to trade for a player when they have to pay him an additional roughly $1 million each week he doesn't play when he can't play right now due to that hamstring injury. And a lot of people have connected the Jets as a favorite, if not the favorite. The Jets are going to London tonight to play the Vikings on Sunday. You would think that the Jets and Raiders will continue talks after the Jets return from London. So it looks like any Davante Adams trade will slow down right now. It does look like it's going to happen at some point. We just don't know where. We don't know when, but it is in motion to happen. But I don't think it happens any time before the Sunday games in Week 5.
The Jets are the obvious team to me because they're the most desperate for Davante Adams for a couple of reasons. One, timeline. This is a team that is all in this year with their 40-year-old quarterback. They have to win now. And right now the offense is struggling. And the other reason why they're desperate is the nature of that offense. This Jets offensive scheme, it doesn't win with scheme. It wins with talent. Which is to say, this is the way Aaron Rodgers wants to play football. He wants to be able to sit back, survey the offense, look for matchups, and deliver an accurate ball. And the problem with the scheme that wins with talent is if you don't have enough of it, it can be hard to move the ball, and we've seen that with New York. And that's not to say Garrett Wilson isn't incredibly talented, Breece Hall is talented, but they need a player like Davante Adams for that offense to be as successful as it needs to be, frankly, for them to go to the Super Bowl.
We talked yesterday, too, about the connection between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson just not totally being there yet. So maybe this would be more connected. I think we all agree it's probably the Jets. Yes. But, RC, your Steelers were in the mix for Brandon Ayuk over the summer before he re-signed with the Niners. Should they be working the phone right now?
Well, obviously, you dressed for this question.
I did this for you.
Laura. I mean, you look perfectly like the person that should be posing this question to me. And I think he would be a great addition to this team. Obviously, one of the best route runners in the game, a guy who can be reliable for Justin Fields on third down and in red zone situations, but also someone that's opposite of George Pickens that can win consistently because the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have that. And when you've seen Justin Fields have opportunities to push the football down the field, he's pushed it down the field accurately and successfully. And after seeing Davante Adams take over in the second half against the Baltimore Ravens, we obviously know he still has something in the tank. But I think the points that Adam made are extremely important. Are you going to want to pay him $1 million a game? Because we know that was something that was in discussion with the Brandon Ayuk contract as well. And so I do think the Jets could be the top team. But if I'm the Buffalo Bills and I have zero idea what their salary looks like, I would at least make a phone call. You look at that quarterback, you look at their need for a number one wide receiver and how competitive they could be. I think that could be smart.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Here's the reality, too, to add another layer to this Davante Adams situation. He's going to want to go somewhere that he wants to go, and I think a lot of this is about him chasing a Super Bowl ring. Dan, which spot gives him that best chance?
Oh, it's the Jets, no question. RC, let me ask you this question. To get to the Super Bowl out of the AFC, right now, who are the three teams that you think you got to beat, no matter who you are? Who are the three teams?
You got to beat Kansas City. You got to beat Baltimore, and I can't really think of the third one offhand.
Would you put Houston in there?
Got to beat Houston. Houston, Texas. Yeah, you got to beat Houston, Texas. Yeah.
You got to beat man coverage. Those three teams are going to play some form of man or match coverage. Right now, the Jets offense can't beat man coverage. Aaron's struggling against it. Garrett's struggling against it. The only guy that's really winning against it is Allen Lazard. If you truly believe in New York that you are a Super Bowl contender, legitimate, you have to have an offense that can beat man coverage. There's two ways to do it. You create the leverage by either formations or motions. Mina's already talked about. They don't. or you have the human beings that could whoop man coverage, just like the Bucs did with Tom Brady when they had Mike and Chris and added AB. That's where they are. They don't set you up pre-snap to beat man coverage. They demand that you're capable of beating it post-snap. They need Davante Adams.
Yeah, Davante Adams, by the way, has recorded the most yards and touchdown passes by any target in Aaron Rodgers' career. I'm sure Rodgers is aware of that, too. New on NFL Live, some news on Rashee Rice and his injury. Adam, what do we know?
Well, Laura, we keep waiting for clarity on the Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice, and we just got some moments ago. The Chiefs officially placed Rashee Rice on the injured reserve list, which means he's out for a minimum of 4 games. Now, it is expected to be a whole lot longer than that, but he now is officially on IR. And earlier today, the Chiefs head coach, Andy Reid, said that they want to wait for the swelling in Rice's knee to subside some before he undergoes additional testing next week to determine the full extent of the damage in that knee. We still don't know yet, but the ACL has not been confirmed yet, and that could and would take place with additional testing next week that they can't do right now because of the swelling in his knee. But for the time being, he is on IR. He is out a minimum of 4 games. It could be a lot longer than that, and we will know more about Rice and how long he will miss and the damage to his knee next week.
Either way, the Chiefs trying to three-peat. Dan, we're talking about Davante Adams. He's obviously not an option there because within the division they wouldn't do it. But do they need to go get somebody? And I think you're going to say yes, so who?
Yeah, they absolutely need to go get someone. Hopefully it's best case scenario for Rashee Rice, first of all. But football-wise, 1, DeAndre Hopkins. 2, Marcus brought this up the other day, Christian Kirk. And 3, Amari Cooper out of Cleveland. There's been some drop issues for Amari, so that would have to get fixed. There's no question about it. They need to go add another wide receiver that can play, starting caliber.
We'll keep an eye on that for sure. We're just getting started here on NFL Live as Week 5 kicks off. Mina Kimes, Ryan Clark are here as well, and Jeremy Fowler down in Atlanta for tonight's game. Jeremy, what have you heard about the Falcons' defensive game plan for Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, Laura, the Falcons want to apply pressure early and often, try to get Baker Mayfield off the ground, and then apply some pressure disguises off that, make him feel like he's getting blitzed when he's not, force him into some bad decisions, and then they're going to go from there. Justin Simmons, the safety, I talked to him earlier. He said he's got 31 career interceptions, but he's never picked off Mayfield, so he's gunning for that tonight. He knows those pressures are going to be a big part of that. They know Mike Evans is going to get a lot of 50-50 balls, so they're hoping to leverage that the best they can. And Bucky Irving, the rookie running back, is prominently on the Falcons scouting report. The people I talked to said that the way they use him off of motions, off of screens all over the field, he's going to be a big factor.
Yeah, that's interesting. Something to look out for sure. By the way, Mayfield's 8 touchdown passes are the second most in the NFL after Sam Darnold. Thanks to Jeremy Fowler, the latest there. How about everything going on in this game? One big priority for Mayfield has been getting the ball out quick, as he's averaging just over 2.4 seconds to throw this season, the 3rd fastest average time to throw in the NFL after Andy Dalton and, of course, Tua Tagovailoa. And Mayfield has been the most productive in the quick passing game, leading the NFL in touchdown passes and yards on passes thrown within 2.5 seconds per NFL Next Gen stats. Dan, a lot of those passes end up in the hands of Mike Evans. You just heard Jeremy talking about the 50-50 balls. How are the Bucs prioritizing their top playmaker?
Yeah, they're starting much of their drop back pass game with him. And something that they do is they'll put Mike by himself and say, okay, we'll start with Mike and then we can work opposite that. You could see him split out as the X in like a 4-by-1. He's up top, and they're just going to give him a stop route. And then they have 2 other plays built off of it. Baker Mayfield, if you like Mike, no matter really the coverage shell, if you think you have space and he wins, great. If not, you can come back to a zone beater at the bottom with a 2 or 3 or a swing screen with the lead blocker. He has so much trust in Mike that he wins. Then they'll also make sure that they create matchups for Mike. Again, that 4-by-1, 4-strong formation. This time Slay is on Mike. What you're going to get is motion outside of Mike. Now what happens is the corner kicks to the guy going in motion. Now Reed Blankenship, a safety, is going to be forced to cover Mike Evans. Play action pass. Mike's going to whoop most safeties in this league with the deep out. And so that's going to be the challenge for Atlanta, is how they handle when Mike's by himself or how they adjust when motion goes his way to make sure they get into those good matchups.
Yeah, a lot of the job, I would say the big part of the job for this Falcons defense really starts up front in terms of how do you stop Mike Evans? Well, you got to disrupt Baker Mayfield. And as we've seen so far this season, when Baker Mayfield is kept clean, he's been incredible. You saw that against Philadelphia. Sat back in zone, he diced him up underneath, the ball was coming out quickly, whereas the week before against Denver, the Broncos were able to heat him up, and he really struggled. His numbers when he has been pressured significantly drop off this year. He actually ranks at, has the second highest pressure to sack rate of any quarterback in football right now. How do you do that if you're Atlanta? That's where it gets a little tricky because your pass rush isn't as good as Denver's, particularly your four-man rush. I thought last week Raheem Morris did a really nice job against Derek Carr of dialing up those five-man pressures, which is something he has done over the course of his careers. What I'd love to see them do is walk those linebackers up, send them at times, but also drop them into a coverage. That's another way to extend Baker Mayfield's time to throw. Make him question what he is seeing over the middle of the field so that when the ball, so that the ball doesn't come out as quickly as it did last week.
What I did love that they did last week as well was they got Rachaad White involved early in the run game and in the pass game. And then we saw Bucky Irving come on as well. I think when you look at protecting Baker Mayfield against some of these pressures, you can use these running backs who are both extremely explosive. They can catch the ball out of the backfield, and we've seen Bucky Irving become a really dynamic runner with the football. And I watched after that Baker Mayfield get comfortable in the pocket, get the football out to Trey Palmer, get the ball out to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I believe that you want to be as balanced as you possibly can with Baker Mayfield, because when he gets into the play action pass, that's when we see him push the ball down the field as good as any quarterback in the game.
Yeah, I think both your guys' points are great. Shocking about Tampa Bay's offense, because we kind of rightfully so fixate on Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They're second in the NFL in yards after the catch, over 600 yards. So to RC's point, with players like Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, they're not only being utilized in the run game, but really as yards after the catch guys. Well, huge for Atlanta to tackle well in space.
You heard Jeremy Fowler talking about Atlanta really keying in on what they've been doing with Bucky Irving. That's going to be a big part of the defensive game plan tonight. Let's go to a story now that's been picking up